Welcome to the only place where real, raw, and vulnerable conversations happen with IFBB bikini pros to give you an inside look at their struggles, strategies, mindset, passions, and all of life beyond the stage. This podcast is made to inspire, motivate, and remind competitors and the average gym goer that even the most extreme lifestyles and elite athletes have their ups and downs. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I'm your host, Celeste Rains-Turk, and now it's time for the Confessions of a Bikini Pro podcast. Hello, everybody. I am really happy because today I am talking to a very happy person. We're going to be chatting with an IFBB pro bikini competitor, obviously, who's a personal trainer, an online lifestyle and prep coach with Team Boss Bodies, a substitute teacher, and a mentor for kids. So welcome to the show, Hannah Ranfranz. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I've been looking forward to this for so long.
Me too, seriously. So before we get into everything that I have prepared for you, I always like to ask, what's one thing that you do or a ritual you have right before your heel hits the stage?
Right before my heels hit the stage, I pray like when I'm on deck.
Nice. Is there anything specific you pray about?
Just it. Well, I always think first, like, thank God for allowing me to be able to compete and everything, and whatever happens, just be with me on stage. Usually that I don't trip.
Yeah.
And then I nail my routine, and whatever happens, happens, and that all glory goes to him, whether I place, whether I get first calls or not, that just thank you, Lord, for letting me be here, and I'm ready to rock it.
Wow, that's so awesome. I love that. Actually, the last person I interviewed said something very similar. So it'll be cool to have both your episodes back to back that way. And you've been super busy with shows this season. So is your goal to qualify for the Olympia, or what are your goals?
Goal is definitely Olympia. It has been my dream since the moment I turned pro. I like I said, I told people I started training for this season in September last year. The minute I was able to work out again, I started training. And when I was training all the way back in September, it was with Olympia on my mind. And I plan to devote 2019 to competing to qualify. So
That's awesome. Where are you at right now?
point-wise,
Mm-hmm.
I have 7 points. I placed third in my first show in Vegas, which got me 3 points. And then I just placed second in Indy, which got me 4 points. So up to 7, which is a pretty decent, middle of the standing. So, and then I compete in exactly 1 week from today in St. Louis. So hopefully I get some more points there.
That'll be awesome. And you actually just mentioned something that I didn't even write down, but I was super curious about. You were out of commission for a bit because you had a breast augmentation, right?
Correct.
Okay. When you did that, that seemed to be a time when a lot of people were coming out about like breast implant illness, or you should, then you shouldn't. What was your mindset about all of that?
It's a very, I don't want to say biased, but I think that's totally a personal decision. I think some women do have it, but I also think there are many people who, I don't want to say it's a fad, but it's, a lot of women are coming out and saying these things, but I think there's also maybe a lot of other issues going on that they're dismissing, and they're just jumping to this conclusion because, like I said, I think there are many women who really do have this because you've seen these severe side effects and everything. But then I also think a lot of it is just scaredness that, like I said, is almost a fad, and just people jumping on the bandwagon and just scared for no reason almost.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like that chaos mentality. So now, okay, something that I think, and kind of moving away from that because it was just kind of hit me just now. I was curious about that. So you've been on prep for a while, but you've been reversing into the past few shows, I think, right?
Yeah. Oh my goodness. I've been reversing since my very first competition.
That's
I've been,
amazing.
so since February, we've been increasing my calories and getting more refeeds ever since February.
Wow. Can you explain to us like what this means and why you and your coach are taking this approach?
Yeah, so obviously you cannot diet forever. You know, you can only pull calories for so long, and then you're just going to start wasting away. And obviously, when you are trying to qualify for Olympia or trying to do multiple shows back to back, you are going to you're going to wear down on your body. And with, for instance, qualifying for Olympia, it's not about looking the best for one show. Looking the best for one show doesn't get you to Olympia. You have to maintain this top level of conditioning for a long time because you have to gather points.
Mm.
So you could place fifth at every single show, but if you do a lot of shows and place fifth at every single show, you're going to end up qualifying, you know? So
Mm.
that's why it's important to do the reverse, because you need, or like I said, you'll wear away to nothing and you'll lose all your muscle and end up looking flat at shows. So then if you do need to come in tighter or something, you're going to need food to pull from. So what we've been doing is, since my show in Vegas, we've been slowly adding in calories again. So, you know, every couple of weeks, every week or every other week, we'll increase my serving sizes. Now, this isn't just throwing in a whole bunch of food at once. It's increasing my serving sizes from anywhere from a half an ounce of meat for every meal of the day, or increasing 1 to 2 ounces of rice at every meal. You know, it's not huge increases, but like I tell people, it's almost like I'm a controlled science experiment. So when we do these tiny changes, we get the results that we expect. And just like when I'm dieting, you know, if we pull 1 ounce of rice from my two of my meals every day, I'll immediately drop weight just by pulling an ounce of rice out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. And when it comes to doing things like refeeds or increasing your macros, especially because it's small amount of increases, but they're making a big difference and they're obviously allowing you to go longer and maintain an elite conditioning and physique, but also making sure that you have something to pull from. So many girls fear the scale going up at first when they increase macros or do refeeds. What do you usually tell yourself or other competitors to get over that fear?
So the scale hop is always normal. You know, obviously, anytime you eat a bunch of food, you're going to maybe retain a little water, even, you know, after a refeed, just because your body's not used to all of that. But it's necessary. And why I also call it a refeed or a free meal is because your body actually does need that caloric surplus after being deprived for so long. And I don't call it a cheat meal because if you call it the cheat meal, you're not supposed to cheat. Cheating is something we're not supposed to be doing. So then you feel guilty, or you try to make up for it by not eating the next day or something. And that's not good because your body needs that. So that's why I call it that free meal or the refeed, because your body literally needs it.
And how do you know when it's a good time to do a refeed and if it actually worked?
So it's listening to your body. You know, sometimes if the scale just won't budge, and you're just sitting at a plateau for so long, maybe that refeed will help give you that bump. Like, it'll give you the extra calories or whatever that your body's trying to cling to currently. And then you'll start dropping. Or if you've just been dieting for a very, very long time and you just really deserve those extra calories and could probably use them, because when you're in a deficit for so long and then your body gets that refeed, it's so hungry for that food that it just eats it up and burns it off right away. So often when I do have a repeat feed, if I'm in a big deficit, the next day I don't even wake up heavier because my body just needed it so bad. Whereas if I'm not really in a big deficit, have a refeed, I sometimes hop a little bit, but then end up leveling out. So that's the other thing, like with not being afraid about the scale hopping, is your body always ends up compensating and leveling back out in a couple of days. So it's nothing to be afraid of because, like I said, the scale hop is pretty normal and happens. So it'll all balance out though.
Got it. Okay, cool. And I think many people listening will probably be surprised to hear that you're eating over 200 grams of carb and doing less than 20 minutes of cardio. So, what has allowed you to do this? Like, was it, like from reversing into shows and doing the opposite of what most people think is necessary? Because right now, like, let me back up. I'm not being clear. You're obviously able to reverse into shows and you're eating a high amount of carbs, a good amount of food, not doing a ton of cardio. This is opposite of what most people think is necessary or beneficial to them. So what do you think over the years that you've been competing has allowed you to do this?
I think my consistency and the fact that every single day, every single week, whether I'm on or off season, I am eating the same exact things. The only thing that ever changes in my life is like serving sizes. I also joke, I always say I'm like a freak of nature because my body is just crazy. And I really think I was made for this sport. I'm blessed in the fact that I have a good metabolism and everything like that. But the other thing, so many people it's almost like they work against their body when we just need to work with it and listening to it and stuff like that. I had a client today and she was like, I had a rough week, I feel like I'm retaining, I'm feeling fatigued, the prep feels are hitting me. And she's been dieting. And I said, you know what, guess what, refeed tonight. And she was like, I'm in tears, but she earned it. And if she's feeling sluggish and deprived, I'm like, okay, she's been sticking to her plan so hard. It's time to give her a bump because that'll probably help her end up coming back down.
I love that. I remember coming out of a show and I had been prepping for so long. And then I had another show in 5 weeks. And my coach was like, stay on point for most of this week, but have a couple of refeeds and just like go out and enjoy yourself a little, relax. And I was like, what does this mean? Like, I was like, how do I do that? But it was exactly what I needed. And taking that time or getting that extra food gave me so much motivation and it gave me like that fire in my belly to just crush it. And so I think that's an awesome point you brought up about working with your body versus against it. And of course, like you said, this happened with consistency. And in order to get to this point, you have to be meticulous with your reverse and on season and off season. So have you ever worked with people who, despite being on point with their reverse or on point with their prep, didn't reap the rewards? And if so, like what's the cause of that normally?
Um, so are you just saying like they didn't get the results sort of?
Yeah, like let's say they followed everything to T on and off season, and then it's like their body's still almost like working against them.
I haven't necessarily had that yet. I mean, I just started doing prep coaching this year. This is my first time I've taken on prep or competition girls, because I started competing in at the end of 2017. So I really wanted to get my own personal experience competing because, I was successful very fast in competing. And people are like, oh, are you a prep coach? Are you a prep coach? And it was always, no, not yet, because I didn't feel that I had enough experience competing yet. Even though I had the pro status, I didn't feel I was experienced fully yet. So I wanted to wait till I had more experience under my belt before I actually began coaching girls. I mean, I know I have a degree in exercise and health, and I've been working with general population for so long. It's been years, but competition prep is a whole new level. So I just wanted to really build my own credibility and feel 100% confident in myself before I started leading other women through it.
I love that. Yeah, super responsible thing to do, and I admire that. And I'm not surprised that you've never seen it. I feel like that's not common, but I was curious. So what's something that you recommend to girls to stay on plan, whether that's their reverse diet after a show or if that's prep? Some of us, and I've talked about on the show, like have no issue sticking to a plan. Like they're 100% all or nothing, but maybe come reverse diet, it's more difficult. Or maybe for some girls, they do cheat on prep. So what's something you usually recommend to your girls to stay on?
That's a great question, and I'm really glad you asked that. So it, and I preach it so much, it is about loving your journey and loving every single day. It's the internal motivation. And I tell people all the time, external goals and external motivators can only get us so far. I remember my exercise psychology course in college where I first learned about like internal and external motivation. And I just remember being like, it was talking about, a race, running a race is technically an external motivator because, if you're running that race for a trophy or an award or a placement or something, those are external motivators that they have an end line, there's a finish line to them. And once you get them, it's like, oh, now what? But then it talked about how internal motivation is something within you and it can't be taken from you. It's not tangible. And I was just like, wow, this is my love for health and fitness. Like it's inside of me, there's no end goal. And that's with competing. I always tell the girls, it's like, remember why you started or what are your reasons for doing this? If you have a deeper passion and something inside of you, then it's easier to stick to it. But, if you're just doing it for the stage, I'm like, you're not going to make it. You're not going to be successful because the stage is only going to get you so far. You're only up there for a minute. So it's not even worth it if you're only doing it for that 1 minute. You got to do it for the long haul, for the journey. And then as far as sticking to the reverse, that is a really tough one, especially because that's the thing. After your competition, after that 1 minute on stage, it's now what? Where's your goals? If that was your one and only goal, what are you going to do now? And then you have all this freedom with food, but really you don't because you don't want to blow up like a balloon. So what do you do?
Mm-hmm.
So that's with finding that willpower within to keep you through.
Awesome. Yeah, I love that you brought up the psychology aspect of that in regard to intrinsic and extrinsic motivation and where we get that. And I think the same thing happens like post show. Something that I've recognized with the people that I work with is it's like you have to also have that post show in regard to responsibility though. Like you can't place responsibility for actions outside of you. It has to really come from within. And I think that the more we start taking responsibility for the actions that we're taking and we love and accept them and we understand where they're coming from and we are being conscious about them, it becomes a lot easier and we can take it like one bite at a time almost. So of course,
Yes.
this is something that doesn't just come naturally for a lot of girls. I think it's really important to work with a coach or work with a mentor who can help you to establish this. And for you, you've been able to reverse into shows and continue now to go, go, go. And that's something that a lot of competitors want. And they probably have a lot of internal motivation. Like this sport has probably brought them so much fulfillment as like you just mentioned, like health and fitness is something that has no end game. Just that's like what really drives you too. So maybe they don't think their body is capable of the go, 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 or of being able to get to that point where they're reversing into shows. So I want to provide perspective, and I'd love if you could share like how long it's taken you to get to this point and if there was a turning point that helped you.
So with me, I have been an athlete my whole life. So I have that muscle foundation and that the cardio and everything, none of that bothers me. I live a very active lifestyle. So, going into a competition, a lot of my clients, if they've never been into health and fitness yet, I always recommend them to start as a lifestyle client before they turn over to a competition client, because it is best to begin to and adapt to the lifestyle instead of just going from, eating whatever you want, whenever you want, to eating fish and asparagus, because none of my clients are on a fish and asparagus diet. I wouldn't do that to anyone on planet Earth. But what I'm saying is, it's like doing something cold turkey. Competing is an extreme. So it is best that we develop good habits before we begin doing this extreme. So, like I said, when I started competing, people are like, wow, you turned pro so quick, because I turned pro in 8 months. But what they don't understand is I was an athlete, and I've been living this lifestyle since I was in high school. It's just I took my training to a new level. So, I mean, we're the point we're at right now with the whole reversing. So this is technically this was my third quote unquote prep that I've done, because I did my prep for my very first season ever, 2017. And then I prepped for my pro card in 2018. And now this is my third prep for my pro season, 2019. So, the reversing, we started, like I said, so I did a 10-week prep, because I didn't need, some women need a 15-week prep, or even longer if they're going to do it really slowly, which, depending on what your starting point is, we're all at a different starting point. So it just depends where you're at and what your foundation is to how long your prep needs to be to keep it a healthy prep. But with me, I don't like to stray too far from my stage weight, and I feel comfortable being leaner. I don't go crazy in my off seasons. Like, I like a more controlled off season so that I can have an easier prep. So I always tell people, your off season, how your off / improvement season, I like to call it an improvement season. How you treat that time is what sets you up for your prep. So if you're having a good improvement season, that's going to set you up for a successful prep. And then that way, like I said, I only had to do a 10-week prep. And then once I hit stage, we got to start reversing into my next shows. And it's funny, because just because I'm eating 220 grams of carbs every day doesn't mean I'm not hungry. Because let me tell you, I'm still hungry all the time.
That's what I was going to ask you, if you get those prep feels still.
So I'm a very energetic person, but there are some times where I get a little fatigued. I mean, I was sick this past week, so that made me fatigued. But lately, I took my first nap just this past week, and I don't know how long, but that's because I was sick. But when you reverse, the thing is, when you slowly start adding in the food, it makes your body even hungrier. So you're eating it up, and your body loves it. And then it's like, give me more, give me more. And then in turn, you get hungrier. But that, like I said, you're almost always fighting it, So it's kind of funny. Even though I'm eating more, it's like I feel almost hungrier than I was when I was eating way less. Just because my metabolism's on fire now.
Wow, that's awesome. And it too, because you're hungry.
Yes. And so, like, it's funny, because in my check-ins with my coach, I tell her, I'm like, I'm hungry, but I'm eating so much. So I just know that food is going to good use. So I like it's funny, I say I like being hungry. I do like going into my meals with a little bit of hunger, because I don't like eating just to eat. In my off seasons, I have to eat over 2,500 calories a day. I'm eating 350 grams of carbs to literally try and gain weight.
Mm-hmm.
So I used to be a runner too. So I love cardio, but I don't get to do that too much, which I keep my chill on the cardio. I just love walking too. So like my prescribed cardio is it's like a 16 to 18 minute incline walk right now. I'll do an incline walk, but I like to get out usually once or twice a day, just to do anywhere from a 10-minute, 15-minute loop around my neighborhood, just to move my legs after being glued to my laptop working or something,
I totally understand that. You're living a really active lifestyle regardless. And I mean, 18 minutes of cardio prescribed and then on top of what you're already doing. But something that I really, really love about you and I want to get into is how positive, uplifting, real, and just genuine and fun you are. Like, seriously, that's like, I was like, I know this episode is going to be awesome because of those reasons. And I'm wondering, everyone always says, like, make sure that your personality shines on stage. And because you're all these things, how do you translate that to the stage?
Well, first, sorry, you have me smiling so big right now. I'm cheesing hard. That was so kind of you. Thank you. That
You're
makes me so
welcome.
happy.
Of
Warming my
course.
heart over here.
Aw.
So before I go on stage, one of my one of my main things and one of the reasons I compete is because I just love touching girls' hearts backstage. And when I have other IFBB pros come up to me and tell me, Hannah's so kind, like, oh my gosh, everyone was like, Hannah's my girl. And like, that makes me so happy. Like, oh my gosh, everyone's having so much fun. We're all having fun. This is a giant slumber party. This is the best day of my life. Every competition is the best day of my life. But, but when I'm backstage, I dance, I goof off, I got my headphones in, but we're taking pictures, we're having a great time. And then when the music is going on, they start, the music that we walk out onto, and we're like getting ready to walk out and do our solos. We're all dancing. And I love just making, especially the girls who are at their pro debuts, like, I want them to feel comfortable, because I remember when I made my pro debut, and there was these other competitors just taking care of me and making sure I was okay. And I'm like, you're about to go on stage, like, worry about yourself. But they didn't even care. They were worried about me. It's just this selflessness. And I want to give that to other competitors. And when I go on stage, I'm just there to have fun. And when it all comes down to it, after the show, I'm like, I can't wait to hang out with my friends. Like, we're going to all go out for dinner after this. We're going to have so much fun. Like, I'm going to drink more wine. We're going to have the best night ever. I live for the whole adventure. And right when I get onto that stage, I am just, I'm all smiles, and the judges are regular people too. They're normal people, and they're kind people, and it's awesome when you get to talk to them and everything. So when I go out there, I just remember, like, the judges are actually really funny, cool people, and I'm just going to go up here and have fun. And when I was talking to a judge after my last competition, he just told me, he was like, your smile, he was like, when you got second place, you could tell how happy you were. You smile so much up there. And it just made me so happy that, like, the judges always compliment on my smile. And I love that, because I do want to have fun up there. This is what it's about,
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. I love that. That is so cool. I could hear, in even just as you were going through it, it was almost as though you were
I
there,
know.
like, I'm there doing it. It's happening again in 1 week.
That's how I just felt telling you. I was like, oh my gosh, wait, I'm getting so excited. It's a week away. I'm
That
like
is
freaking
so
out right
cool.
now.
Oh my God.
I'm currently, I pace whenever I'm on the phone. I pace. I'm pacing all over my house right now. I'm going to have like 20,000 steps after this.
Oh my gosh. I love that. That's awesome. I can't even
I
tell
have
you're pacing.
zero chill. Yeah, I'm pacing all over, girl.
That's so funny. So okay. What was the other thing I was gonna be? Oh yeah. How do you, like you said, backstage, you make sure everybody else feels comfortable? How do you go about doing that?
Oh, I'm so weird back there. I just do my thing. And, but I also, because, there are girls who aren't wild and crazy before they go on stage, most girls. Ooh, the garage just opened. I was walking around outside. Sorry, that's so loud.
I didn't
Um,
even hear it.
oh, good. So, but some girls, they're in their zone and stuff. And so I totally do respect that, because there are some girls who like to just zen and be calm. And, we all have our own things. So you do you. And I'm not going to disrespect you or your space. And I will totally, I appreciate that. Like, if you have to do that and I want you to do whatever's going to make you feel best on stage. But then it's fun because, other girls will dance in and stuff if they're feeling it. So I'm like, join me if you want and do your own thing if you want,
Yes, that is so cool. I just really love how much you embody being yourself. And I think a lot of people today struggle to actually feel like who they are is enough or is worthy of showcasing to the world. But you share all your weirdness and all your quirks, and that's just such a cool thing about you. So, how do you think other women can become more comfortable being who they are?
So I read this really funny quote, and it was something, I'm going to butcher it. I'm so bad at re-saying things. It was something about, by the time it was like 20, 40, 80 or something. I don't know. It was like,
Yes.
when you're younger, you think everyone cares what you're doing. And then when you get to your 30s or whatever, you just don't care anymore what they think. And then once you're 80, you realize they were never even thinking about you in the first place. So it was just really funny. And my one thing is half the time I'm like, I'm never going to see these people again in my life. I don't care what they think of me. Well, that's at least me on vacation. But then you find out it's a really small world and you like run into your math teacher in Greece. So that's always crazy. But
what the heck?
Yeah. So it is a very small world. You got to be careful. People are watching. No, I'm just kidding. But lastly, it's like when it comes down to it, people appreciate it. Everyone, we're all a little weird, let's be honest. And it's a breath of fresh air, And like I said, no one actually cares. And no one's ever actually thinking about you. Literally, no one cares. It doesn't matter. Do what you want when you want. And if they do care, they're bored with their own lives or something, or they're jealous, I always say, if you don't got haters, like if you have haters, it means you're doing something right, if they're looking at you, they're probably just jealous that they're not having fun,
Yeah.
They're jealous that they're not the ones being open and living their life.
Absolutely. I agree. I think sometimes it becomes like a reflection. Like when people get triggered by the person we are, the way we are, it begins to become a really, really blatant mirror in their face of who they're not being or parts of themselves they're not owning. And that's challenging for them.
Yes.
So you're always in a great mood. And I think sometimes people don't feel like that's possible, right? To always be so uppity and happy. Have you always been like this, or did something happen in your life that helped you to almost embody this forever positive mindset?
So I've always been a little social butterfly and happy-go-lucky girl, I always say, choose happy. Wake up on the right side of the bed. Don't let stuff get to you. Worrying doesn't change the outcome. And there was a time though, when I was in college, college is stressful for everyone, and we're already all going through an emotional time in our lives, lots of changes going on, becoming an adult. There's so much going on. But I was in a really rough relationship, and I completely lost sight of myself. It was not healthy, and I just prayed for. I didn't tell anyone about it. That's the thing. Everyone knew I was going through such a hard time. I had never dealt with depression or anxiety in my life, and I didn't want to admit to these things or know these things because everyone knows me as Happy Hannah Banana, And so I prayed for for a whole month, I need the strength to either walk away or the strength to stay with him. But I was like, God, you got to give me a sign. Like, I got to do something because I'm not okay anymore. I'm just not. And then when in church, when the sermon was over, it was like, oh my gosh, today's the day. And I did it. And ever since that day, I've never been happier. It was like the most freeing thing in my life. And my mom, after I called my parents were gone in Alaska for a few weeks, and my dad was like, oh my gosh, I was literally just telling our friend, I hope that Hannah breaks up with him. He's not the one for her. And once I told my brother and his girlfriend, they were like, oh my gosh, mom didn't tell you because she knew that you needed to make this decision for yourself, but she was like, I hope she breaks up with him. Like, I just want my happy Hannah banana back. Like, everyone could see it in me, like how broken I was. But it was just one of those things where it's like, I've learned I wouldn't be if I didn't go through that, I wouldn't be who I am today, you know, and it has made me so strong and so independent. And, you know, I just want to preach this positivity on everyone that, you know, if you're going through something hard in your life, it's in your power. We are the ones with the power, and we don't realize we have it all. It's all our own choice. It's our lives. We can do whatever we want with it. You know, if you're in a bad relationship, be strong, have courage, get out. If you're in a job that you hate, quit. There's 1,000,001 jobs out there. Go down a different path. You know, opportunities will attract, opportunities will open themselves up. But like, you know, it's the law of attraction. The vibes you give off are the vibes you receive. And if you want something, you got to make that choice for yourself.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I think we're all faced with those decisions too. Like there's moments in our life where we're almost facing this resistance against a certain decision that we know in our heart is going to make our life so much better. And yet there's like fear or there's pressure or confusion, yet we just know it's right for us. And then when we finally do it, like you said, we just feel free and there's nothing better.
Yeah. And like I said, you know, that goes for a relationship and a job. And there's so many things that it can apply to. But like I said, like when it comes down to it, we have the power within us and we just got to find it.
I love that. And you show up a lot for your followers online and you add a lot of empowering and positive things like this to your audience. So what are some of those lasting impacts or messages that you want people to get from you know, using your presence as a pro and a coach?
As a, you know, I always say, um, ultimately, you know, one of my main goals in life, and I think my main calling is to just spread love, kindness, happiness, you know, and do that for other people and inspire women to be their best selves, but not just on the outside, but on the inside as well. And, you know, I'm so blessed to have the success I do within competing. And when I win a show, or I haven't won a pro show yet, but like when, yeah, you hear that? Yeah, I'm going to get
Yes.
one. I'm going to get a pro show win. I
Yes,
know
you
it.
are.
But, you know, I just, when I have success, you know, I think I just want to give back. All I want to do is give back and pass it on. And that's what like ignites my fire is like, my thing is, you know, if I make it to Olympia, think of all the women I'm going to inspire and all the lives and all the hearts that I can change. You know, I love coaching because every single woman, like there are no two people on planet Earth who are the same. You know, we all have different body types. We're different people, you know, and we all have different backgrounds. And I think it's so cool. And I love working with so many different people opposed to like, you know, when you go to an office, like everyone has the same job, but like with me, it's like I can work with an engineer. I work with a mom. I work with a doctor. I work with so many different people and it's so diverse and it's so cool. But it's just all these people that I get to impact. And I love that I can work with a competitor and help change the competitor's mindset or help affect her prep in such a positive way and keep her happy. And then I love working with the general population who they've never set foot in a gym in their life. And now they're about to go take a trip to the Grand Canyon to go hike, you know, and they go to the gym regularly now, all because like they started training with me, you know, it's like I can impact so many lives in such different ways. And I just love that.
Oh, that's amazing. I can hear the passion in your voice and the true commitment and dedication to this. And I know how you feel. Like, I'll literally find myself, I get so emotional. I'll like cry over it. I'm like, I have to do this because if I don't do this, then there's going to be all these women who feel this way and I can't have that happen anymore. Like, I have to change this. And like, I'll just start bawling about it. And you know, we people like us, like who are really dedicated to an impact that's bigger than us, right? And I think everybody really does have that within them. But when you really find that calling and that purpose, you invest so much into it, right? Like it really
Yes. Oh my gosh,
encompasses
yes.
you know, and then it becomes like your everything. And I think sometimes all we want is for that to be known, you know, like this is everything to me. All I want is to make this impact and change, you know, change the way the world is going or the way people feel about themselves. And I'm just like curious, like being so busy, like you're a very busy person, right? And you're only 24, and many of us who are younger and who have been following this type of a lifestyle or have found our passions at a young age, you know, it almost has just become a part of our personal development to live this way or to continuously pursue those passions. So I'm curious for you, like how does this, if it does at all, impact your social life?
Hold on just a moment, because
Yeah.
my mother is in the background dancing and acting ridiculously goofy, trying to laugh. And I have to tell her, Mom, I'm on a bikini podcast live interview right now.
Oh, that's
Okay, so you can see
awesome.
where I get the wildness and goofiness from. She is dancing around the kitchen like a chicken, sticking her tongue out right now, and she didn't know I was on this interview.
Oh
She's just
man.
trying to bother me. Oh my gosh.
Forever.
So that's where I get it from, everybody. So now she knows. I live at home. I love my parents. I'm never moving out
Aw.
until they kick me out. Okay. Anyways, I'm sorry. Can you repeat that last question? I listened to the whole first part.
Yeah, yeah. Basically, being young, have you noticed that living this type of lifestyle and being so passionate or pursuing all these different things because you're very busy, has it impacted your social life?
So, I get to say no, which I know is so surprising, and I'm so lucky that it hasn't, because I know so many competitors struggle with this, and it breaks my heart. But my family and my friends are beyond supportive. It's insane.
Mhm.
It blows my mind. They will, if I don't want to go out, they literally come over and they puzzle with me. If I have extra energy when I'm on prep, we literally go to the casino and we don't drink, and we go there to go dance and listen to live music. I can go out, you know. I know there's some people who don't like going out necessarily, I guess you could say, sober, especially at my age, you know. A lot of
Mhm.
people like to drink and party, and I can party without drinking.
Yeah, of
And so, because I don't drink on prep, you know, that's a big no-no.
course.
So I I I have fun no matter what. And I will go to concerts. You know, I've actually gotten a lot of free concert tickets out of prep, because I offered a sober drive, and then they will give me the concert ticket for free. They're like, no,
Yes.
no, you're driving us. You don't have to pay. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you guys are the best. So,
That's the hack.
you know, I always tell people, if you're going to prep, you can't let it affect your life. You know, prep is an excuse to be a biatch. And,
Yeah.
you know, you got to learn how to handle it. And, you know, there are days where I do get hangry, and I remove myself. Like, I
Mhm.
will, if I am getting a little irritable, I'll just go upstairs for a minute. Like, my parents know, and they respect it. And, you know, but like I said, it's not an excuse to be rude to anyone. It's not an excuse to take it out on anyone. Like, I tell people, if you compete, you're blessed, because
Mhm.
there are so many women who wish they had the health, or, you know, the body, like genetics or something, but whatever, to be able to do this. And I am so blessed that I have my health. You know, I'm so blessed that I've got two legs to freaking walk on. You know,
Mm.
there are people, I remember in college, I'd see a guy in the gym in his wheelchair working out every single day, and it's just so amazing. You know what I mean? Like, those little things inspire me so much, and we take little things for granted, but like, I'm not going to sit around complaining about a life that I chose. So I'm going to go out and I'm going to hang out with my friends, and I'm going to go out and I'm going to sit at the dinner table with my family and not eat, or eat some leaves, because guess what? I'm
Mhm.
happy that I'm going to step on stage in a couple weeks, and my treat will be after I compete. You know, I'll eat my
Yeah.
big meal. Those are my celebration weekends. You know, I celebrated my birthday for the first time in years, just because I don't really care about my birthday, but it's it's not a big deal. Competitions are my celebrations. That's when I eat. That's when I get my treats and stuff. And I love that. And like I said, I chose that. And with holidays, I always tell everyone, you got to remember your goals, and food's always going to be there. And you just got to focus on your family. I bring my own food to holidays, even in my off season, just because I love what I eat. I still bring my own food. I don't care.
Same.
But my aunt, she's so funny. My aunt will take my container chicken, and she's like nudging my brother. She's like, "I dare you to eat this," and he's like, "No, Hannah will kill me." But my family is so cool, and they respect it so much. And I made a comment to my aunt one time, and she was like, "Hannah, we totally get it." She was like, my cousin is a swimmer at Auburn, and she's like she's going to try for the Olympics this year, but they're like, Allie, if you think about it, Allie's the same way with swimming. You know what? We all got our own things we do. And it was just so cool because I didn't even realize how much they respected and appreciated what I did. I never thought they didn't, but they truly just, they support me 110%. It's crazy.
That is so awesome. I really love to hear that. And I just think it's so cool, especially when it's your thing, and you want your thing to be accepted and appreciated by the people you love so much. So I just think that that's awesome that you've had that experience. And when it came to earning your pro card, what were some of the emotions that you had going into that, and what was your journey like getting up to that?
So going into my pro card, when I did my first national show, and I went to nationals in Miami, and that was geez, I just did my first competition a month before that, and my coach was like, "We're going to nationals," and I was like, "Wait, what? What's nationals?" And he was like, "Oh, well, you can earn a pro card there," and I'm like, "What's that?" And he was like, "Yeah, it was like, oh, it's." I didn't even know. He didn't even explain it, but I was like, okay, I guess we'll go.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like a deer in headlights up there. I was like, oh my gosh, what is this? How I'm about to get on stage with all these women who look like this. Oh my gosh, why am I here? What am I doing? And then I got first call outs, and I was like, what the heck?
Wow.
We changed my whole posing routine the night before. So I literally had no idea what I was doing up there. I was like, hit your pose, hit your pose, hit your pose. That's all I was thinking. And so then after I got off that stage, literally, I just kid you not, that night, I started researching what the heck nationals was and what an IFBB pro card was. I was like, what is this? I'm getting this thing. I'm doing this. We're figuring this out. And so then, right then and there, right after that, I'm like, okay, there are I was like, I just did 3 shows within 6 weeks, and it was totally doable. It's easy. I could do that again next year. I said, there's 3 pro qualifiers in 6 weeks next year, so I could totally get my pro card. So right after Miami Nationals, I was like, I'm going pro in the spring. So I started grinding. I was lifting heavy. I'm eating like a man, eating like a linebacker. And I'm just trying to put on, get some shoulders, because that was my feedback, was to get shoulders.
Wow.
So I am lifting, and then I did a cut. And when I was going into South Carolina, I knew that my legs were not brought down enough. So I was like, that's okay. I didn't expect to get my pro card in South Carolina. I was like, I wanted it in Chicago so bad. I wanted Chicago so bad. And so when I was in South Carolina, I went from getting 6th at nationals to 8th place in South Carolina, even though I brought a better package, which Sandy recognized. Your placement doesn't always matter. Sandy was like, although my feedback, she was like, although you got 8th place, I know you did better in Miami placement wise. You did bring a better overall package. So great job. Just bring down your legs more, which we already knew, like I said.
Yeah.
So going into Chicago, we just grinded. I dieted. It sucked. I was like, I'm doing this. I told my coach, I was like, I will crawl through hell. And I was like, and if I can no longer crawl, I will clone myself and I'll drag myself through hell because I am going pro in Chicago. That was my determination.
I love that.
And so I was like, I'm psycho and I don't even care. I was like, I'm going pro in Chicago. And like, I was saying goodbye to my parents. I always, I have to give my mom and dad a kiss before I leave every competition.
Oh.
Um, and I said to my parents, I said, if I get first call out center stage, because it's a 2-day show on Friday night, I said, you're coming on Saturday. And so they were like, okay. And so I ran out to my dad's car before he was going to work, and I was giving him a hug and kiss goodbye. I'm literally like a 12-year-old child. I don't care. And I was like, all right. I was like, see you Saturday. And he looked at me and he goes, see you Saturday. And like, it was just, it was just so cool. But you want to know what's funny is before I actually got on stage when I was praying, I said, God, I said, you know what? I said, I got 6th place and I got 8th. I go, you know what? I don't even care. Just give me top 5. I said, I just want a top 5 at a national show. So even before I even went up there, I was like, at this point, I don't even care. That's what it always comes down to. I'm like, I love this so much that I don't care. I said, it's not if, it's when. I said, it's not a matter if I get my pro card, it's just when. And I said, if your time is for me today, your time is for me today. If it's not, you know what, I'm going to keep grinding. I don't care because I love this so much.
Yes. When you detach from the outcome, amazing things happen, right? They say needing nothing attracts everything.
That was how right before I got 2nd place at Indy, I went up there with 0 expectations. I went up there just so excited that all my girlfriends were in town and we all got to hang out. I was like, I'm doing this for the squad. Like, I'm getting up on stage and all my girlfriends are here to watch me and we're going to have so much fun tonight. And I'm just so happy, and then turns out I get flipping 2nd place. It was incredible.
That was incredible. I think I had started following you at the beginning of this year, actually. And then I think it was Vegas, where I was like, oh, I need to see who this girl is. And then I was just so amazed by like the person you are, not so much about the journey you've been on as a competitor, as much as it was just who you are. And I really admire that. And has becoming a pro changed the way that you see or approach competing?
No, I think it just like totally exemplifies everything. Like, I'm just living, I just feel like I'm living on my purpose. Like I'm living on my passion. And I just think it's the coolest thing ever. I love being a pro because I don't have to pay to enter competitions anymore.
Oh my God. That is like taken care of sometimes, right?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. National shows were expensive, but no, it's so cool, like just being a pro athlete, it's awesome. I just love being able to impact so many people and, like the title in IFBB pro, it's, so many people say I want to get my pro card, but it's like, why? Like what's your reasoning behind it? What's your real why? Being an IFBB pro means so much more to me than just those letters.
Absolutely. Yeah, and then I think that's what gives people the longevity. Like that's what keeps people in the game. Like you said earlier, like that's the intrinsic motivation that allows you to keep going.
Yeah. Like, and so here's the thing with intrinsic motivation, how you know if you have it or not, it's like, if these things were taken from you, would you still be doing what you are today? And my answer is yes. If I wasn't a competitor, I would still be doing these things every single day. I would still be eating healthy and like monitoring my meals and, eating healthy or eating out once a week, just like I do now. And I would still be grinding in the gym every day. I would still be a personal trainer. If I didn't get paid for these things, if you didn't make money doing what you're doing, would you do it? Yeah, I would. And that's like with my job. I do these things simply because I love it. And then the money follows.
Yes.
Do what you love and then the money will come with it.
Exactly. And it's more rewarding and fulfilling when you focus on that passion and the purpose behind it than anything else. Like, I've been running my own business now for a while, and it sometimes is excruciating, but the thing that keeps me going is knowing that I have to fulfill this purpose. Like it's like I can't see myself doing anything else. I am so committed to helping other people, and I would feel lost if I didn't. And to me, it's like people will say, you know, at what cost though, right? Because it's an investment of time,
Yeah.
energy, effort, money.
Yeah. I still invest so much in competing.
Yeah, exactly. You have to. And so it's like you said, if you take all that away, would you still do it? Absolutely. Because sometimes I don't get the other extrinsic rewards, but I do it anyway because it means something. So
Exactly. Yes.
I love that. And, you know, I wanted to ask you like a few, these are kind of more random questions and I didn't really know where to fit them in. And looking at them, I'm like, I totally could have fit them in some places, but I'm just going to ask anyway. So, um, first question, some people don't really believe in water loading. I water load. I think you've water loaded a few times. I don't know. I'm just curious, like, what's your
Yeah.
belief and approach to this, or any peak week?
I always water load. I've never not water loaded, so I couldn't tell you
Yeah,
otherwise.
same.
Yeah, and let's see. This next competition I'm doing, I think this will be my 10th one ever.
Oh
So
my gosh. Wow.
I know I'm always like, I'm still new. I'm a newbie.
Do you do dandelion root or anything like that?
You know what? Actually, that's one that I do kind of regularly, just as like an every day. I almost drink it every day, every other day, just as a normal. I drink so much tea just to cleanse me and keep
Oh,
me
you
good.
drink it as I do not like that as tea. I think it tastes so gross. But yeah, I definitely I do dandelion root 10 days. Well, yeah, around 10 days out, sometimes earlier, just depends. So,
Yeah.
okay. Cool. And then next thing I'm wondering about, you know, I love hearing how busy people manage their time. And for you, you have a background in exercise science, you're a certified personal trainer, you do substitute teaching, you're just really busy. You know, you always seem to have something going on. And like, how do you manage your time? Like, what are some of the tools you use?
I write everything. I have to handwrite everything in my planner. I can't.
Same.
I don't trust a my phone with anything. Um, I like. I just like pencil or pen. Sorry, I love pen, and then I love crossing stuff out after I completed it. It's so satisfying. But yeah, I'll just map everything out. I have like my monthly calendar all set out, and then I have all my days that I write stuff a little bit more detailed. But I get bored easily, so that's why I like being able to do a little bit of everything. And I love kids so much, so I have to get my kid fix. I started mentoring, and then I loved being in the school so much, and that's like what made me want to substitute teach, because I was only in the schools one day a week for mentoring, and I was like, I want to be in here more. And so I started substitute teaching for fun.
Wow, that is so awesome. And again, it's a testament to you following and fulfilling your passions. And I think that's amazing. And, you know, like, in staying busy and staying so positive and everything, that's just because that's what you want, that's what you love to do. And something else that you really love that I totally love with you, and I think is so funny that you talk about it, is spray butter. um
Yes,
so
my
like,
life.
that's your thing. You've even said to like bury you in the spray butter aisle.
Yeah. Heck yeah. When a
So
dot bury me inside the spray butter aisle. That's like Gucci's line, right? Or someone, I don't even know.
I don't know, but it works in this case. So, okay, you eat a lot of whole foods, obviously. You're a very healthy person, and like I justify these things the same way. It's like, okay, you're gonna bash me for eating like, or for using canola oil when I eat like 7 servings of veggies a day, right? Or whatever it might be. You know,
Yeah.
spraying my spinach with spray butter. I mean, whatever. So, why do you think having some extra yummies like that in your diet can be good, especially as a competitor?
Because we are all human. And
Mm.
to each their own, like I always say. And if you have something that keeps you on track and that helps you enjoy your food, we need to live life. Like, just because we're a competitor doesn't mean our lives need to be miserable and we're not allowed to enjoy our food. You know, that's not what being a competitor means. It means finding balance and, like I said, being consistent, you know? If
Mm.
I hardly ever ate spray butter or something, and then all of a sudden ate a whole bunch of spray butter peak week, like, yeah, maybe that might affect things. But because I have it every single day and then I water load and I start dropping weight, why do I need to remove it if I'm already, one factor is already working. We don't, like I said, the whole controlled science experiment, we don't need to mess around and play with other things. So I'm still allowed to enjoy my life on peak week and have a little spray butter.
Yes, exactly. I love that. And so of course I like to wrap up the episode just by getting some advice from you. So what advice would you give to someone who's never competed before but is thinking about it? And then what advice would you give to someone who is currently competing and going after their pro card?
So someone who has never competed before, I would definitely say, um, try to get into good habits and good routine before you ever start your actual prep, get
Mhm.
into a good healthy weight range or something. The other thing, this goes for whether you're a first time competitor or going for your pro card or anything. And my one biggest advice that I give to everyone is don't compare yourself to others,
Mm.
and focus on you and your own look, especially, that's really a huge one. If you're trying to get that pro card, you can get in your own head so much. And I said, and I tell my coach Casey, I said, the most, the thing that you told me that stuck to me, like my whole competing career, the most beneficial thing you have ever told me was, we need to know your look. And
Mm.
I was like, oh my gosh, she's right. Like, it doesn't matter about anyone else. It matters about me and nailing my look, because I don't look like anyone else. No one looks like anyone else. We all look like ourselves. So, it's about being proportionate. It's about being balanced. It's about you and your physique. It's about you and your poses. Not every pose looks good on every competitor. You have to pose for you and your body. And so once you nail your look, your routine, your suit color, how your stage hair should look, that's all you. It's not anyone else.
Mm.
And like at the end of the day, you never know who's showing up to that show. You don't know if they're going to be all hard and then you're going to look too soft, or you don't know if they're going to be all a little softer and then you stick out like a sore thumb looking too hard. It can go either way. You don't know if they're going to come in fuller or a little bit leaner and tighter, so you don't know which way the judging is going to end up swaying that day. So you never know. That's why you can never get upset. I went just at Clash. I didn't even place at Clash. And then I got second place at Indy. That's a week difference, a week. And I
Wow.
went from not placing to placing second. And did I get discouraged about my 16th placement? No, I didn't care, because I knew I was going to show up in Indy and kill it and come in with a whole new package in a week,
Mm. Absolutely. That's amazing and just phenomenal advice. And you've given so many golden nuggets. There are some questions I was like, I feel like I'm pushing the boundaries on this one, especially with regard to like the process. And I just
No.
really appreciate like how open you've been and how much you've shared, and also talking a lot about just your own journey as well and how we can apply that to our own lives, and whether that's more positivity or going through a proper reverse diet or staying consistent, loving the process, loving the journey, developing an internal why. Just so many awesome golden nuggets. And I really, really appreciate the time you spent with us. And I want everybody to be able to connect with you so that they can have all your positive vibes coming through to them
Oh,
too.
yay.
So can you just let
Thanks.
everybody know like where they can find you, maybe where they can work with you, all that stuff?
Yes, so if you check out, it's literally just called teambossbodies.com. You're able to apply on there. You're able to read about me as a coach. You can check out all our different links, packages. You can even do monthly packages too if you want to just pay month to month. But like there's lifestyle coaching and prep coaching on there, and it talks about all the services that we offer. And then you can just request me as a coach when you apply. And then I also, for anyone who's local, I do train clients out of my home, and I work with people posing out of my home too. And so if anyone wanted to train in person, I live in Northwest Indiana, so they could obviously just reach out to me through Instagram or just, my email is hannahranfranz@gmail. So if they were interested in that. And then other posing, like online stuff, a lot of online stuff, that's all through Boss Bodies, but then anything in person is just me out of my home.
Awesome. So I'm going to make sure all that information is on the show notes page. So to everybody listening, you'll be able to find her Instagram and those links and all that jazz on celestial.fit/podcast. As you all know, there's a category section for each athlete. So you can just look up Hannah Ranfranz in the categories section. Or, of course, if you're listening to this the day it was released, it'll be at the very top of that page. So I just want to say thank you guys so much for listening, for all of your support, for sharing screenshots, letting us know your main takeaways, sending love to the athletes is just so awesome of you all. I am thrilled to know how much this podcast has impacted and really changed a lot of your lives. Like, I get messages that make me cry, and it just means so much to me. I do this for you guys, and I appreciate the support in return. So with all that being said, I hope you all have an amazing rest of your day,